Hi, everybody, and welcome to TNM Unplug and Zoran Todorovic Interconnected podcast. Today, we're going to go talk about power and empowerment. That is energy really, really needed in this time of our lives. And today, I have a beautiful friend, very dear colleague of mine, joining us in this podcast recording. And let me tell you a few things about her. And don't forget that this is the space when you are elevating your heart, elevating your mind, and elevating your soul to the next level of yourself. So I would love you to relax, to enjoy, to listen to this conversation, to comment if you like to comment, but allow this talk to really empower you and inspire you to become the best possible version of yourself. So joining us, Andrea Klincokova. I love this Klincokova. We talked about how do I pronounce this in a powerful way because it's such a powerful, powerful surname. Joining us today from Czech Republic. And let me tell you about Andrea a little bit. She is what we call in coaching community a well-rounded coach because she has multiplicities of certifications and educations, anything from international coach federations to coactive coach, to solution-based coaching, to NLP practices, to result system coaching, to nonviolent communication, and so on and so forth. So in her toolbox, she has so many different tools and certifications. So she shows up in the coaching space to what we call a really, really well-rounded coach as well. And she has been coaching for a long time. I'm not going to disclose for how many, but more than 15 years in the coaching market with different tasks. Anything from working with the corporations, empowering people to become best possible versions of themselves, training them how to use coaching skills, working on their leadership capacity, working for them to become the best corporate and business leaders they can be. Also working with small businesses as well. She jumped into that space as well and worked with the small business owners to empower them to run successfully their small businesses as well. Now, so she has this multiplicities of roles. And let me talk to you about her passions at this moment in time. And this is what I love about her, Andrea. Her passion is happiness, actually, and she says, if we are happy, success, wealth, health, relationship, love, fun, and play will come naturally. So part of her, outreach there is to empower people to become happier individuals. And she's also passionate about women and about women empowerment, about women becoming the best possible versions of themselves, becoming the authentic selves, and using this powerful feminine energy going forward, cultivating this feminine. And as some of you know, this is the time right now when we're stepping from masculine-driven world into the feminine-driven world. And she's on the ball there because femininity and women in power are really, really important. So I can talk about her forever, but we need to dive into the topic here of power and empowerment. So, Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh, wow, this was brilliant. Thank you so much.
I have this in my programs every time I introduce people, they get blown away and then they cannot say anything else like, oh my God, I can't believe this is me. And this is something that happens all the time. So it became the signature for me. I love doing this trumpet, introducing people. So they're like, oh my God, can I live to this expectation? But they do. So welcome. So you and I kind of talked about, the show, and we really wanted to talk about power and empowerment, why this is important right now. And I know that you've done a few feminine groups this last month, and you're part of this conversation a lot. So where would you like to start? How would you like to share? Why do you feel the power and empowerment is so important to all of us nowadays?
Okay, where to start? Well, obviously, 2020 was really what a year.
Yeah.
It was difficult on so many different levels for every single one of us. Of course, there are people who were doing really well business-wise, of course. However, they had struggles in different areas of their life, whether it was homeschooling, big topic all over the world, or it was relationships, which became so critical, or mental health. That's another huge topic.
Mhm.
And one of the things which I noticed during the last year is that people actually are saying, I want to be happier, I want to be more successful, I want my relationships to be better, but I have no idea what to do, where to start.
Mhm.
And so even though this theme for me evolves for quite a long time, now it suddenly became in the spotlight of
Mhm.
everyone.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm really glad that we are talking about this topic, because it is center of every single person's life at this moment in one way or the other, and it is
Mhm.
going to stay there.
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to stay there. It's the center for everybody. And also, we are all called right now in these
Yes,
transformational times
yes,
to own that, to step into our power, not to
yes,
defer into being victim of the situation, being victim of challenging,
yeah,
year behind us, but to look into how can we use this to benefit us all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's another really beautiful thing which you are saying here, because um, as we discussed just a few minutes ago, we have really great day in our family at this moment, because not even 2 hours ago, our second grandson was born and came to us, our little angel, and that's a really nice way for a start also this discussion, because when we've born, we are born with no limits whatsoever. We are born believing that just because we are here, we are good enough, we are worthy, we are lovable, we,
Mhm.
and we don't need to prove anything to anyone.
Mhm.
Just the fact that we are here is enough. And
Mhm.
as we go through life, we are starting to learn from wherever, from our environment, that actually we need to behave in some way. We have to think in some way. We have to present ourselves in some way. And what happens then is that, uh, and it starts actually in school. We enter the room, and we immediately, and it's happening usually unconsciously, but we immediately start to measure the atmosphere in the room and calibrate ourselves how to behave so that we don't stand out, that we fit in, that we are accepted by that group.
Mhm.
And we are, in this way, we are actually dimming our own light.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know?
Mhm. Yeah, first of all, I mean, the angel coming to your family, congratulations. I think it's a lovely day to record because you carry this energy of new and fresh, and you're absolutely right. What I love that you're sharing is that the very fact that we are born, it's more than enough. And
Yeah,
something happens exactly through this conditioning, right? Through
yeah,
educational system, through our family circles, through, you know, repeating the behaviors that we actually see in our parents, in
yeah,
our grandparents, in our family, that we begin to become conditioned, and then slowly we're shrinking. And I remember that when I was in my school, when you walk into that classroom, you begin leveling and measuring yourself and understanding what you can and cannot do, which is that beginning of this conditioned mind and
yeah,
loss of the power, so to say.
yes,
Because the true power of what you're bringing in our attention is that it's enough that you are who you are on this planet right now. So something happens that we cannot get kicked out of that. Keep on talking. So what else happens from your perspective?
just try to say, and of course for you it's easy, but our listeners, try to say to yourself, I am enough, And I don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even to myself.
Oh, right. I'll repeat that. I'm enough. I don't need to prove anything to anybody, not even to myself. And this is the big one for me personally. When you say not even to myself, it's like, oh my God, my heart opens. How do I do that?
You see, but this is exactly how we are born to this world.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, I'm allowing this to sink into our people listening. Especially this case, I will repeat once again. For me, maybe I'm just projecting myself here because I am in a space, so I don't need to prove anybody to anybody else because I know myself. But to myself, sometimes it's challenging because
Oh, yes.
yeah, because
Okay.
it's interesting how you brought that. Wow. So what happens when somebody owns that? What happens that I, for example, will say this loud and clear, this affirmation, and I really own it in my heart. So what is the outcome of that from your perspective?
Well, it depends on what you do with it. You can just let it sing and do nothing with it,
Mm-hmm.
or you can start to act on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very different action when you really own this, when you really show up in 100% you.
Mm-hmm.
It's so very different impact you can have. And and I have lots of clients who are saying, but I don't want to save the world. I don't want to have impacts all over the planet. I just want my kids to be happy. And I'm like, but that's exactly it. If you want your kids to be happy, you need to show them how to be happy. If you want them to be successful, you need to show them how to do that. And it all starts within. Whatever we want for our kids, for our families, for our friends, for our partners, for ourselves, it all starts within. That's why we are always saying that to know yourself, who you are, what are your values, what are your strengths, what are your gifts, what is your life purpose? All of these things, they might sound like, oh my God, those are such a huge questions. But actually, that's the very beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Know yourself, own it, accept it, love yourself as you are,
Mm-hmm.
and show up from that place. Usually, what happens is that we have fears, we have these limiting beliefs, we have this conditioning, and that's the place from which we show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what energy are we creating in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
We are just bringing more of that fear, of that, of those limits, of that lack to us and to our kids, because how kids learn?
Mm-hmm.
Kids learn through repeating what they see, what they feel, what they sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are actually doing a big disservice to our kids if we are not showing up in our full power.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's look into that, for our listeners. So if people are listening to you talking right now and they say, I get it. I completely understand the significance of me showing in my life in my full power, even if it's not full power of saving the world, transforming the consciousness, but, something more personal, like, I want to have a happy, healthy life and I want to make sure that my kids are happy and so on and so forth. And in order for this to be done, as you said, it's about showing inside out and knowing you and understanding who you are, owning that and showing yourself authentically inside of the world. And then people are unable to do it. So let's look into that, because I know, like you, that some of the people that we coach will come to that space. I want it, but I can't do it. There was this blockage or barrier, obstacle, or whatever shows up. So what is preventing us, number one, to be that fully authentic self that you have described and to show up and own our power fully?
Okay. One of the things is that we still look for approval, permission from the outside world. And once we are looking for this approval and permission from the outside world, we are actually one thing, what I already mentioned, we are trying to fit in, which never really works. And the other thing is that we are actually tapping into expectations and dreams of those people from which we are trying to get the acceptance and permission. So what we are doing at that moment is that we are actually living their dreams, their expectations, their ways of this is how you should live. And they might be really very good intentions there, but it's their way of how they see us and how they see what we should do. So that's the one big thing that we are looking for, the permission and acceptance from outside.
Right.
The other thing is we can give that permission to ourselves. And again, it starts within. So what do I really want? What do I, and why do I want it? Why is it important to me? What is at the bottom of it? You had a really nice conversation with Nancy and Shireen a few weeks ago about value. And you were talking as an example about you both value freedom. Me too. But for each of us, it means something a little bit different. And that's exactly what is true for every single area of our life. Our happiness, our success, our relationships, businesses, whatever it is, fitness. For each of us, it means something else. So know yourself from inside out. Know what these big words, we can say, mean to you specifically. And why is it important to you? Because then you can stand for yourself, then you can stand for that value, then you can bring that strength you have inside you outside. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it makes sense to all the viewers. So we actually have to know ourselves to be able to stop asking for the validation from the external world and approval, and then give this to ourselves without seeking this. And this is part of restoring that empowerment, that you don't need anybody else to tell you how wonderful you are, or you don't need to match yourself against the approval of the authority figures or the parental figures, to be able to get that. And I think that's a wonderful first step. Absolutely. We also, as it's important to understand our beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And when I work with people on that level, it's really getting to know what they believe about the world. And this is what you're pointing to. When you get to know yourself, number one, you understand your values. You understand what you value in life. you also understand your needs. What do you need to be able to be a functional human being? But the big one is beliefs. What do you believe about the world? And what is your limiting belief and what is your empowering belief? So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's a very practical tool, a coaching principle that can help our listeners step more into their true power if they understand the nature of the beliefs.
Yeah.
So what would you say on that? Your understanding of the beliefs, why they're important, and how do we actually work with the beliefs going forward?
Yeah. And thank you for bringing this out, because our beliefs actually, we can again say it in a way that beliefs can create or destroy our happiness, our success, our life, our destiny, whatever we call it. Because what we believe, how we look at ourselves, at others, at the world, universe, how we look at it, what we think about it, what we believe that it's true about it. That's what creates our worldview. That's how that's why we behave how we behave. That's why we act how we act. It's all based in these beliefs. And as we said before, some of these beliefs are created in a childhood and by our family and grandparents and environment and school and everything, work, relationships. All of these areas are part of those beliefs.
Right.
And what people quite often forget is that even though that belief was created many years ago, it's still our choice whether we still act on it or not.
Yes. And I just want to pause on that, because that's an important breakthrough moment. It's still a choice. Even if I had the belief from my childhood observing my parents that life is difficult, or in order for anybody to be successful, you have to struggle a lot and you have to persevere and work hard. And through that modeling of that belief, subconsciously, I've just integrated, because this is what I see in my reality. It's still a choice at this moment in time, right? I can choose if I want to uphold to this belief, keep on believing it to create this reality, or I want to transform it into something that is much more authentic to who I am at this moment in time, and that can serve me better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the very easy, simple tools which we use all the time is to look at your life and all the roles you played in your life. Yeah, you start with son, daughter, we have siblings, so brother, sister. Then we go to school, so we are pupils. We enter the relationships. Then we enter the world of work, and we create and put on more and more roles in our lives. And if you make a long list of these roles, and then you start to look at them like, is this role still important for me?
Yeah.
What does this role still bring to me? Is it empowering me, or is it actually not as good for me anymore? Do I really want to continue with that role, or do I want to take it further to my life in my future? So it's a very simple tool how you can go through your life and just make that choice, make that decision, what I'm going to take with me to my future.
Yeah. Choice. And I think that this is what we love in coaching. You can choose, what is your role, what do you need to let go, what do you want to keep, and what are the beliefs attached to this. So if you, for example, have a limiting belief that you're aware has been passed to you from your social conditioning, or from your parents or from your schools, and you're realizing that this belief doesn't serve me any longer, you can choose something more empowering. And the example that I've shared, if I believe being successful requires hard work and struggle and long hours, but actually I want to be successful with minimum effort, with flow, with working limiting hours so that I can have the balance between play and life, and I can really condition myself with this new belief that serves me well. I think the most important thing that we are mentioning to the audience is choice. You can literally choose it today, and that can transform your life if you begin to live this new belief and embody that new belief. And then you said beautifully before, and then act on it, right? Act as if this is part of who you are.
That's the important part, because we love to learn new things all the time. But if you just getting more and more and more knowledge, yes, you are become more and more clever, intelligent, whatever you call it. But if you don't act on it, then the knowledge is worthless. You can't help anyone, not yourself, not anyone else, if it just sits in your head.
Yes. And this is the reason why we love coaching, right? Because coaching is one of these disciplines that gets you in the gear, gets you to act on it, because that application from your mind, from your heart, from your body into reality, when you fully activate it and you act on it, is something that creates a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's your decision, as we talk about those roles, it's your decision whether you want to live in your past or whether you want to start to live for your aspiration, for your goals, for your vision. It's a beautiful metaphor that you can't drive your car and get to the destination you want to get to if you are looking in the rear mirror all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. So we went places today in this conversation. So I would love us right now to kind of bring it home, Andrea, kind of round it up and bring it home to the power and empowerment, because we really looked into the significance and importance of people living an empowered life. And then we also looked into what is our conditioning around empowered life, that we lose that power. And once again, I want to highlight to the audience what you shared at the beginning, the very fact you're here on this planet, born in this physical body, you're enough. And by default, you have all the power, all the creative energy, everything is available to you, through love, compassion, that's enough. And I think just that is the pearl in itself for people to take away with them. And then we also kind of looked into the different roles and responsibilities and how we get conditions and how the beliefs play a role in our life, and what is the significance of what is preventing us of living that empowered life. And I love what you brought as roles and responsibilities that we need to let go, and identities. And then we looked also, how do we transform the beliefs behind all of this to get us into that full power. So to round it up, because you and I can talk for hours, and the podcast producers always say like 45 minutes is enough, then people disengage, so we have to stay within the format. So how would you round up this podcast? What would you say it's the most important thing for you, for people to be inspired by this conversation, to really own their power and move forward?
Oh God, so many ideas at that moment just popped up. Wow. Well, one of the things I'm quite sure that the book of what's her name, Bronnie Ware. Bronnie Ware, about she worked with people who were dying for many years, and then she wrote a beautiful book about it.
Right.
And the very first regret dying people have, based on her experience in that book, is, I wish I'd had the courage to live the life of my own and not based on expectations of others.
Right.
And it's exactly what we are talking today about. It's standing in our own power, living our life on our terms. And so that's one thing which just boom in front of me, appeared in front of me immediately.
I hear you. This is super anchoring, that we need to live, like that. Absolutely. What else came to you?
And the other thing is that, again, we are forgetting that whatever we believe in, whether we believe in reincarnation and having several different lives, or we don't believe in it, the fact is that in this life, in this moment of history, we are here only once. We are here in this body, in this moment, just once. And we came here with so many gifts inside us. And the purpose we are here is to share those gifts. And you can't share them if you don't stand in your power. You just can't. I just heard a beautiful quote, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who said it, but it was something like, let me think about it. If you don't do you are never done.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. If you don't do you're never done.
Wow. It's just so amazing. And of course, it all happens in our brain, in our minds, our thoughts. That's what creates either the self-belief or limiting belief. It's all here, and it's our choice.
Yeah.
We are just, whatever is going on in our life, we are always only one thought away from better feeling, from better situation.
And this is a beautiful landing. So whatever is happening in your life, you're one thought away from a better feeling, from a better situation. Whatever you are in the life, you're one feeling away from being fully empowered. You are a choice. You are really, really a choice here. I really hope that this transmission, because I feel like this was a transmission and conversation, because we transmitted a lot of energy on a subliminal level. So I really hope that this transmission and this conversation between me and Andrea has empowered your life in a way that you are now more capable of owning yourself, in becoming full version of yourself and stepping into your full power. And that was one of the ideas. And I'm sure when we meet again, we can talk more and more and more and unfold this conversation going forward. So thank you so much for listening. I just want to give one last kind of round to Andrea, just a closing thought for people to leave. What would you like to say if you were to leave our listeners with something that comes to you as an intuition or a closing thought?
It's okay to be happy. And it's okay to live your life the way your heart leads you. I have many idols and people I love, and if I may mention two of them, one is Albert Einstein, which I really love, and he said that one of the most important decisions we have to make in our life is is decide whether we'll live in friendly or hostile universe. And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and if I decide, as I did a long time ago, that I live in friendly universe, it's a very different life from the other way around. And the other person is Albert Dumbledore from Harry Potter's books and films.
Yes.
And he said in one scene that happiness can be found anywhere in whatever dark space, and I'm paraphrasing now.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to remember is to turn on the light you have inside. I paraphrased it very, very much, but that's
but you get the gist, turn on the lights inside, be empowered, be the best possible version of you. You are a choice. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
So beautiful, Andrea, to talk to you on the special day that you and I will remember forever, the birth of your second grandson. So this is a special day, special transmission. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, dear listeners, for tuning in into TNM Unplugged, into Zoran Todorovic Interconnected. More information about Andrea, about this program, about this conversation is in the bottom of this YouTube. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can click on that, find information about Andrea, about her personal website, include her in your conversations, talk to her about the issues, hire her as a coach. You never know, maybe she's the right coach for you as well. So thank you so much for listening. Lots of love to everybody. And until next time, we'll see you. Bye.
Bye.